As of today, I have officially just finished watching the Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2.
I know I'm late, you don't have to remind me.
I'm going to start this video by saying this, that I wasn't really a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen before I watched Season 1. My oldest brother had always told me that near the end of his secondary school life, he could always find volumes scattered around his school's library. And obviously growing up, of course, he continued to read it and keep up with the manga and has done nothing but encourage me to do the same thing. To be honest though, when I heard of the concept of a Jujutsu Kaisen, I immediately just thought it was Bleach, but bootleg, so I never really paid much attention to it until the anime was announced. Like, yeah, I'll be real, if you're an anime fan at the time of Jujutsu Kaisen's release, you will remember that there was no corner you could turn in the anime community without someone mentioning how Jujutsu Kaisen was the best anime ever. People out there calling it the greatest shonen of all time, and that it was going to win anime of the year and do outrageous things like that when it had like 7 episodes out. So I did something that I don't usually do. I for once actually jumped on the hype train and tried to see what Jujutsu Kaisen was actually about by getting into the anime. Of course, if you didn't know, Jujutsu Kaisen is being animated by MAPPA, the endeavor of animation studios. So I thought, if it's going to look good, I might as well give it some time and effort. Just at least watch the first season. If I don't like it, I can move on knowing that I at least tried to watch it. After watching all 24 episodes that had been aired, I realized that, was the show bad at all? Not in any way. Some of the fight scenes are genuinely gorgeous. Gojo came out as one of my favourite characters that I've seen in a few years in terms of anime. And I realised while the show isn't for me, it's not bad in any way, shape or form. And I was happy for people who are finding joy in watching it. Though the fact that I couldn't feel the exact same way meant that I unfortunately had to drop the show and just not continue following up on it. Fast forward to about maybe less than half a year ago when Season 2 of Jujutsu Kaisen got announced. And 2 of my best friends both said that they were going to be watching the show and that they were going to be talking about it avidly. So I decided to just listen into some of their conversations from time to time and see what I could potentially be missing out on. Once I heard that the second season had only had 6 episodes out until it was going to take a 3-week break, I thought maybe I should watch it. But if it's going to focus on Itadori, who in my opinion, and yes this is my subjective opinion, is one of the worst anime protagonists I've ever seen, I didn't really want to watch 6 episodes of Itadori doing basic anime protagonist things. But when they told me that it wasn't focused on Itadori, and in fact it was focused on my favourite character in the show, Gojo, back before he was called the strongest, I was immediately like, I kinda might need to watch this. And it wasn't until a specific fight where I actually picked up the show and said, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. Like, I didn't think Jujutsu Kaisen was gonna be that, good until I saw that Gojo was out here quoting Buddha and one-shotting people with Hakais in the Season 2. So I was like, okay, I kind of have to watch it now, just out of pure intrigue from what I've been hearing my friends talk about. So at like 3 in the morning, I decided, why not? I have nothing better to do. And I watched the entire 6 episode, Season 2 Part 1. And my honest opinion, it was pretty fucking good. Now, of course, there are the obvious complaints that can be made about this Season 2, about the fact that it's only 6 episodes long compared to Season 1's 24. So it's not really a fair fight in terms of comparisons, because you can say that Season 1 had a great pacing because it was spanned out over a longer period of time, whereas Season 2 had 6 episodes to get its shit together. Or 6 episodes to tell an entire story, basically. And if it didn't do that, then it failed. Did I think Season 2 was a bit rushed? Yeah, I do feel like Season 2 could have definitely gone maybe 7 or 8 episodes rather than 6, just to give a few more characterization moments to people like Ammonite and so on and so forth. But overall, I did find myself really enjoying what I got to see between Geto and Gojo and even Shoko. I really enjoyed the show, to be fair. Gojo single-handedly remains as the best character in Jujutsu Kaisen, unrivaled, because he is quite literally what would happen if you were to find any anime watcher and give them the powers of a basic god. That's what they would turn into. It's what I would turn into if I had Gojo's powers. I would turn into Gojo. So knowing that there's someone out there who's saying, okay, let's take the god twist and, make him into an actual real person, I like that. Like, in the middle of battles, he's gloating enemies, saying, oh, sorry, I'm gonna show off because my pupils are here. oh, he's walking around saying, I'm the strongest, no one can touch me. He's taking selfies of bad guys after he beats them up. Like, he is a peak anime protagonist, not even protagonist, character that I'm very happy got to shine in this second season. And of course, the season was nothing but eye candy to watch, as I got to get treated to an absolutely incredible anime opening that at first I wasn't really into. I thought Kakaki-tan was better at first, but after listening to it, basically every episode, and even then afterwards, just on YouTube, I realized, yeah, season 2 opening, it negs the first opening of Jujutsu Kaisen, I won't even lie.
And obviously, we didn't even talk about the second opening of Jujutsu Kaisen. That opening doesn't exist.
I think my biggest surprise for this show, though, or for this season, my bad, would probably actually be Geto. I didn't realize I was going to enjoy him as much as I did until, of course, I saw the first part I saw the first episode, and then I saw the final episode, which the final episode is something special that I want to talk about in its like own dedicated video. But I'm going to break it down here in, my own intricate little way to show why exactly I love it. It goes to show how much Mappa cares about the episodic, shows by the fact that they animated the final episode of Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 differently than they did the rest of the episodes because it takes on a different tone compared to the rest of the episodes. The first 5 episodes it was more light-hearted. It felt like something you would get out of, a romance comedy or something like that in terms of the light-hearted nature of the show. It was Gojo and Geto just having some fun and being friends taking on a simple mission. That's how it started out. But as the show progressed, things began to get slowly more serious and something sinister began to bubble up in the background that by the end of the 5 episodes genuinely took over the show in what might just be one of the best background plots I've seen in a very long time. The seeds were sown for Geto's betrayal in just the first episode, when he's explaining how much he hates absorbing curses. So obviously when he finally does end up breaking by the end of the season, it does feel earned and it feels like we have built to this over time. Because the entire, 5 episodes have been building is not only Gojo wondering how you become the strongest, and it's been building Geto up to, are human beings worth saving? And, of course, by the end of the season, he decides, no, they're not worth saving. And it leads to a really cool scene between him and Gojo, them just talking. And it leads to one of the hardest quotes I've heard in a while. Are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo? Or, are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest? It really makes up a lot of character when you realize that Gojo now has to undergo this sort of mental, not torture, but mental shift, because he has to then realize, does his power make him who he is, or has he always been like this and his power is just an additive? Of course, this plays into Gojo thinking about things like this when it leads into Jujutsu Kaisen 0, which I won't be making a video about, because I'll be real, throughout half that movie, I couldn't understand a single fucking thing. Okay, the final episode of the season. I'm excited to talk about this. I went into this final episode thinking that they were just going to end it off with some lukewarm ending that was going to lead into like a second, part of the season, obviously the Shibuya incident arc. But what I came up with was an beautifully crafted, excellently animated, and just absolutely amazingly directed episode that made me realize that Jujutsu Kaisen might actually have something that intrigues me for the first time in ever. It dares to ask the questions that are on the fans' minds. It dares to delve into the characters in a way that many other shonens aren't able to, or are fearful of that they're going to end up breaking the characters in the process. And in doing so, it humanizes the characters. It makes me want to connect with them more, and when I see them do things on screen, it makes me feel happy for them, or feel sad for them. It makes me feel for the characters, rather than when I watch Goku fight against someone and he loses. I'm just like, oh, Goku just lost. But if I watch Gojo fight against someone and he loses, I understand the mental turmoil that's going on in his mind at the same time. I understand what he's going through, because it's been so well explained throughout the pretense of the season. And this episode in particular took all of that and elevated it to 11. It changed the animation style from what Mappa's been known for doing, with a lot more glossy, gorgeous looking animation, to a single pencil style animation that reminds me of Devilman Crybaby. And if I can just be honest, it looks absolutely fucking stunning. At first, it did kind of jar me, but then I began to realize, wait, no, this episode is supposed to represent Geto's mental break. So it's obvious that the animation isn't going to be as clear-cut and stylistic as usual, because it's supposed to represent the mentality that he's going through. The animation at the beginning of the episode isn't that messy. It's clean, it's simple, it's different, but it's clean. But towards the end of the episode, it begins to get messy and slightly jagged, and it really takes on his mental fortitude, and it represents his mental state in a way that I haven't seen animation be done in a long time. On top of that, Mappa's camera work in this is absolutely incredible. As I should have said earlier, they know how to manipulate the camera in a way that a lot of animation studios aren't able to. And if I can give Mappa one thing above every other animation studio, including Ufotable, it's their use of the camera and what they showed the audience at the time. Like, there's a scene between Gojo and Geto where it's just the camera is panning back and forth between each of them when they're talking about why Geto did it and if Geto is actually evil now, and Geto obviously hitting him with the "Are you the strongest because you're Satoru Gojo?" or "Are you Satoru Gojo because you're the strongest?" And it pans back and forth, and you can really feel tension building in each intricate moment of the scene, because the use of camera work helps achieve that. It helps me realize something might go down here, something might actually happen. At first, I was a bit angry that the show wasn't focusing, or the second season wasn't focusing on a lot more of the background characters, like Shoko, like Nanami, etc. But then I realized that it's not about them. This second season is about Gojo and Geto. That's the entire crux of the season. It's about Gojo and Geto. Everything in the season has to do with Gojo and Geto. So, while watching it, you really feel like, rather than Geto just being a secondary protagonist, it's a double protagonist show, which makes me feel happy that they're giving Geto the spotlight he really does deserve, as he shines in this second season way more than I ever think he did in the entirety of all the Jujutsu Kaisen stuff I've seen before. Genuinely, if I had to give Jujutsu Kaisen a rating overall, I'd give season 1, for me personally, don't come at me, about a 6 out of 10. Once again, it's not a bad show to me. I think it's quite good. It's just not the type of show I'm into. But I'd give season 2, on the other hand, probably like an 8.5 out of 10. It's emotionally and character driven. It doesn't focus too much on the fights, but when the fights do happen, they look fucking gorgeous. And it's all about asking questions. It's about asking questions about the duality of the world, and about if Geto's right or if Gojo's right. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all later. Bye now.